Have you ever just felt stuck? Like you've been drawing for X amount of time and yet you're still making the same mistakes, still chugging along, not knowing exactly what to improve or if you're even improving at all. All the while you're trying to find solutions online, and art YouTubers like me are telling you it's your lighting, you gotta draw boxes, something, but nothing seems to really click. Nothing gets the ball rolling despite how much you attempt to practice what they preach. Well, what if I told you it's not the practice that's the problem, and it's not the problem of the advice that you find online? Obviously, because I'm always right. The issue could be that you don't know what the problem is in the first place. You don't know how to critique your own art. Now, why would we want to do that? Why would we go back to what we've already made and tear ourselves apart metaphorically? Well, the answer is pretty simple. To know where we're at, it's easy to get caught up in where we think we should be based on the artists that we admire. Always looking ahead, which, don't get me wrong, is great from a motivation point of view, but sometimes that causes you to ignore some red flags. To excuse that wrong looking thing because, well, he did it and he's a better artist than me, or it's a part of my quote-unquote style. Self-critique helps you identify your current skill level and what exactly you need to improve first if done correctly. But before we get into the nitty-gritty, I bet some of you are thinking, why self-critique? Why not get advice from a better artist? And to that point, you're completely correct. Now go grab your nearest, I don't know, Mika Picasso or Conley or something, and that's that. They would probably have much better direct advice, leagues ahead of anything that I could tell you. But let me guess, I bet 99% of you don't have direct access to a professional artist every day nearby, and judging by the type of people that typically become artists, me included, we aren't exactly the type of people to seek out others when we have a problem. We tend to want to solve our own problems and save ourselves the potential social interaction. So, we're on the same page? Good. Now, how do we correctly identify problem areas in our art? Every time I critique my own works, I separate them into two distinct categories: technique and arrangement. Technique is quite self-explanatory. How good does it look? How good are you at lining, picking the right colors? Rendering, is your anatomy and proportions in the right place? Stuff like that. Arrangement, on the other hand, is a lot more broad, is it? How do you say that?
Broad.
Basically, how well are you able to plan this out? How good was the composition? Did you accurately tell the story, or the feeling that you wanted to convey is the thing that you just made interesting? And both of these concepts stem from the one thing that every artist starts with when they create art: the idea. So the very first thing that you need to figure out when critiquing any piece of art is, what was the initial idea? What did you want to create at the time? What was the main emotion that I wanted to convey? If this was a piece of art for a character, how did I want them to be perceived? What story needs to be told? And from this point is where we begin our dissection. Now, just from my anecdotal experience and sort of reasoning in the matter, I find that the more experienced that you are as an artist, the heavier your problems start to lean towards the arrangement side. Because obviously, as you get better, your baseline quality and technique gets higher, and so you're no longer making those same basic mistakes that are easy to spot. And so with that being said, for the rest of this video, I'm going to be breaking down two of my previous illustrations, starting from very far back a few years ago to things that I have done in the recent month, to give you guys an idea of how to break down and identify problems in different levels of skill, as well as which of these problems I would recommend practicing first to get the fastest amount of improvement based on what I see. Alright, so here we have an artwork from May of 2023. God damn, this is, man, I remember painting this back like during my calculus BC class of senior year. This was like my last month of high school. What was I talking about? Oh, yeah, okay, so this character is Link, specifically from Tears of the Kingdom, and the theme that I wanted to go with here was him as a Hitman type character. Why? I was 17 at the time, man. I don't fucking know. So what needs fixing here? First and foremost, let's talk about the technical side of things. If you're a hitman, you want to look deadly. And while sure, this pose might do it, the lighting most certainly doesn't. And so I proposed to my previous self that we get rid of this middle spotlight and either A, make it a lot more concentrated towards a certain portion of the body, or B, make it a harsh light that comes in from the right. With both cases, having the eyes glow a bit brighter even when in the shadow. Both of these decisions turn them from, oh wow, look at how cool he is, to, oh wow, he's gonna kill me on sight. On top of that, the light needs to shine more appropriately on the coat behind him, because I'm sure not everyone will have seen it at first glance with how it blends into the dark background. Now, getting rid of the lighting changes for a second, the clothes themselves seem to have a few issues. First, the clothes don't seem to fit the body under it from what it looks like. There's this kind of weird bulge in the middle of the body, and the arms look too cylindrical, too uniform. Now, for the last thing, we gotta give this the good all flip test in. You know what, that's not that half bad. The body proportions are good enough. This arm here is a bit long though, but the real issue is when we flip this face, which can easily be fixed with a bit of liquefy tool here and there, and done. Oh, and the air is too high up, so we can just liquefy that down too. There are a few more things that I can dog on about the mechanical hand and the wrinkles in the clothes looking kind of mid overall, but that's pretty much what I have for the technical side of things. Over to the arrangement side, I think this pose is actually quite good. With a big asterisk, if we take a look at this for a few seconds, what is the most interesting part of Link's design? What is deadly about this supposed hitman? Well, the mechanical arm, of course. And so logically, it would make a lot more sense for the normal hand to be holding the mechanical arm instead. However, since it's canon that the mechanical arm is on Link's right side, we have to change around the posing a bit. I don't want to get too deep into this, but something akin to the front arm grabbing the back with the palm facing either up and down and changing how the energy kind of flows away from it. And so that is the full critique that I would give my 17-year-old self at the time. However, obviously, me at 17 would not have been able to see all of these mistakes, and so that is where references come in. If you're creating any piece that isn't like a doodle in a sketchbook, or you're deliberately trying to challenge yourself, I bet you will have multiple references that are much higher skill level than what you can currently do in the style or mood that you want your art piece to be in. So use those even after you finish your piece and compare what you were able to do with the vision that this group of images gave you, and while you might not get every single mistake corrected, similar to what I just did, you can at least get a lot more of the major points. And so with this laundry list of things to fix, what should we focus on first? When it comes to this, I think of two things and two things only. Which problem will translate most to what I want to draw next, and which made the most impact when changed. Now, usually the first thing about the problem translating isn't really that important unless you're an artist that makes a lot of different things between every drawing, which is what I tend to do sometimes. Learning how to draw this assortment of green and pink dots better isn't really going to help me much when my next character is in, say, a solid color background. But it's the second thing that I put the most thought into. Of all the changes that we made, which were the most impactful? Well, to the me of right now and the me of back then, the answer would easily be the lighting, which is why over the course of the following year, I pretty much grinded out my lighting skills the most. Okay, so here we have a much more recent piece from a few weeks ago of Perlica from Arknight's Enfield. Clearly a huge jump from the previous piece. I mean, I'd hope it's been a huge jump. It's been 3 years. There's an improvement, right? So what do we fix? Starting with the technique, first, I'm kind of getting tired of the amount of sketch lines that I'm leaving over into the final piece, especially in that hair category. In order to fix this, I could either A, get better and more deliberate with my lines, hell nah, or B, just cover it up with more paint next time. I'll probably just do that. Now onto the jacket, I wanted it to have a bit of a reflective chromatic tint to it. Not too much, but enough to tell, but I don't think I was able to achieve that all too well. We'll probably have to do a few more studies later on and figure out how that chromatic kind of thing works. And now let's give it the good old flip test. And again, not too bad, especially in terms of the body, but the head is looking a bit big. Let me just, you know, and then I'm starting to notice a bit more things wrong with the body, so we'll just... yeah, you know, it's for things like this where the flip test really shines. Me staring at this for 8 hours would not have noticed these issues unless I constantly flipped the canvas. It's not like I suddenly got better over the course of a month. Just flipping the canvas after a bit of a break gives you that much better of a perspective on things. Now, another thing that some astute people might have noticed if they played Arknight's Enfield or seen Perlica before is that she does not wear this black thing around her shoulders. Where did I get that from? Well, it turns out that the early alpha concepts of Perlica did have this inner design, and honestly, I thought it looked much better than the full build, so I intentionally included it. But if this was a commission or, you know, a piece where I wanted it to be accurate, I would change this entire shoulder piece and make it, you know, accurate. And lastly, I would clean up a lot of the graphic design elements around here, but overall, the technique side of things is a lot less prevalent to what I'm going to be discussing next. The arrangement. What was the idea for this piece? Well, in the game, Perlica is sort of the manager of the group, the one who keeps everything running, the one who keeps everyone in check, and I wanted to show that. Does this illustration kind of tell that message? In a way, you know, she's clearly moving things around on a blueprint all around her, but this piece for me encapsulates my biggest issue as of late. My compositions are kind of just getting boring for me. This isn't a problem for everything that I create, but I'm starting to notice a pattern over and over and over and over again where I just keep on creating portrait pieces where a character stands in the middle, not really doing anything. Sure, the execution is fine, but it's not really telling a story. So how do I fix this? Well, the answer is quite simple, and actually it's something that I've been doing for a while, but it's just slipped my mind over the past few months. Thumbnails. I can't remember the last time I drew out multiple thumbnails and picked between 2 or 3 different options for a piece. Actually, I do remember, it was a few months ago for a video. If I had done that for this piece, I could have immediately realized that there are better options for displaying her in a more serious tone like I wanted to. And so for the next 2 pieces following, I did. I believe I started to make a lot more interesting and different compositions than before, but we'll see how far I can take that. And so that is basically how I view my own art and pick and choose what to improve next. Problems can stem from a single thing like lighting that could have greatly improved a piece, or a string of problems that you subconsciously do and notice because you take the time to look back and see what you drew and analyzed it. And to some people, this entire video might seem obvious, but I bet to a lot of people it might not. How do I know that? Because I have this problem constantly. I have a few months where I'm analyzing and breaking down what to improve and make great strides, and then for the next 4 to 5 months in a row, I for some reason just forget to check my own work. Sure, I always have my own, discrepancies and things that I criticize in my mind while I'm making my current pieces, but I often forget to go back a month or two and seriously break down what I'm good at and what I'm struggling in, and I don't want you to fall down that same rabbit hole. So I hope this video is helpful. I'm gonna get back to making the next thing. If you like this video, then sub. We're almost at 50k. That's pretty cool, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.